And let's move on to angle bisectors. So angle bisectors, like perpendicular bisectors, are going to have some interesting information that's going to help us when they have to do with triangles. So just a reminder of what angle bisectors are. They bisect angles into congruent pieces. And they are equidistant or equal distance from side of angle or angles. So looking at my diagram here, the angle bisectors of ABC intersect at one point. When they intersect at one point, that means that they are concurrent. And that point of intersection, I've got PD and PE and PF is intersecting at that point of intersection. So my angle bisectors are AP, BP, and PC are my angle bisectors. And BP are angle bisectors. But we also have these additional lines. We have PD, PE, and PF. They also at the same point, and that point is called the incenter. So they all meet in the same place. It's called the incenter, and they have right angles with the side of my triangle, but not necessarily at the midpoint. So they are not perpendicular bisectors. So they're not giving you information. We cannot say that BF is congruent to FC. That is not something we can do. Do not do that. But we do know that they're all equal distance from the sides. So they're actually congruent to each other. So DP and PE and PF are all congruent to each other, as we're going to talk about here in the incenter theorem. So the incenter of a triangle is equidistant from the sides of the triangle. So as I said, PF, PE, and PD are all congruent to each other. So let's look at some examples of how that works and how that can help us. So we have our first example here with WM and WP are the angle bisectors. Now, there is no WN in this picture. That doesn't mean it couldn't exist. We may give you problems that have all three angle bisectors drawn in or just one or two. So just treat each angle bisector separately. So WM and WP are the angle bisectors of my triangle M and P. WK, which runs into the side of my triangle, is 21. Find the measure of angle WPN. So WPN. So this angle over here, kind of messy. I'm looking for this guy here. And the distance from W to MN and NP. So remember the distance from the incenter W. W is incenter. Is going to be congruent. So from W somewhere to the side over here and from W somewhere to the side over here, these are going to create right angles. And they're all going to be congruent to WK. So I can go ahead and tell you that the distance is 21 for W to MN and NP. So that's part of that question answered. Then I need to find the measure of angle WPN. So there's a few ways we can do this. Really the easiest is to think about this as one big triangle. And we know angle N is 72. WMN down here is 32, and it's on an angle bisector. So that means this angle over here is also 32 degrees. So that means this whole corner is 64 degrees total. So the whole corner down here is going to be 180 minus 72, 80, or not 80, 8, and 108. this out of the way, and then subtract 64 from that. And we have 44. So the whole corner is 44 degrees, but I only want WPN. And remember, these are congruent to each other. So if the whole thing is 44, divide that by 2, and the measure of angle WPN is equal to 22 degrees. So we have angle bisectors, we have congruent pieces, we have perpendiculars. Angle bisectors and the incenter provide us with some great information to solve the missing pieces of our triangle. Let's take a look at another one. I have P as the incenter of XYZ. So we want to find each measure that's missing. So I'm going to just go through and solve a whole bunch of stuff. So we know our angle bisector. So we've got this side and this side are congruent. This is also 31 degrees. This side's congruent to this side, or I'm sorry, angles. So angle KYP is congruent to angle JYP. So this is also 27 degrees. I can look at 31 plus 31. This whole corner here is 62. This whole corner over here is going to be 54 degrees. And so our whole corner down here, we're going to take 180, 54 and 62, 111. We're going to subtract this and get 64. So this whole corner down here is 64 degrees. And these are angle bisectors. So that's going to divide by 2. So that's going to mean these are 32 degrees each. And then don't forget we have no other information. We're just trying to find the angles because we don't know any side links that are going to help us find anything else. We do know that KP is going to be congruent to LP and JP, but we have no links there. So we're good. We are done. We found our angles that were missing. This is also 32 degrees and we're all set.